Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today I'm participating in a Heffy Doodle and InkOn3 collaboration. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a piece of Strathmore watercolor paper and this is cut down to a regular standard cardstock panel. And I'm using the Heffy Doodle Crazy Kaleidoscope stencil. I love this stencil. And I want to do a little bit of ink blending with this. I did go ahead and prep my stencil with my Pixie spray, which is just a light tack repositional adhesive for stencils. And it helps if you have a really intricate stencil, but I have the tendency to use it on all my stencils now. I absolutely love this product. I'm going to go ahead and work off of my glass mat for this. So I'm just going to try to allow the guidelines on my mat to help me get the stencil right where I want it. So just kind of like hover over it, and then once I get it where I want, I can go ahead and press it down. And I just like to rub on my stencils, you know, show me a little bit of love. All right, so the inks I'm going to be using today are from InkOn3, and these are the Atelier inks, and they're absolutely gorgeous. These are fusion inks, and they're artist grade, and you can stamp with them as well as watercolor with them. As you can see, they're very gorgeous colors, and of course I want to keep it in the colors of the rest of my project for a little bit later. So to blend on my background, I'm just going to grab myself a little blending brush. This is just an inexpensive blending brush that I had picked up from Amazon a while ago. But I do just want to go ahead and clean this off a little bit because I thought I had a little bit of residue left on this. So I just want to make sure it's clean, and I'm going to get a clean color. Now I'll go back into that ink, and I'll make sure to list all the ink colors in the description box below so you guys will know what colors I use. So as you can see, this ink goes on like butter. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's very vibrant, and it works well with stencils. It also works well if you just want to stamp it. You can also watercolor with it. So I'm just brushing off the excess color, and then I'm going to go into my second color. Now instead of going into orange, I'm just going to go into the yellow ink. And the reason I'm doing this, because once it mixes with the red, it's going to make orange. So I'm going to have that really pretty transition. So I'll start a little bit away from that red shade, leaving a little bit of an opening. And then when I start blending those colors together, I'm going to get that pretty orange shade. So just remember, you can mix your colors. You don't have to have every single color. Just make sure the colors that you're mixing, you know, are going to mix into another shade for you. Again, I'm going to go ahead and clean off my brush because it might have some of that red residue from the stencil. So I'm making sure to really clean that. Now I'm going to go back into the yellow. I'm going to pick up a good amount, and then I'm just going to go underneath that orange I created. So now you see I have my little rainbow effect going on here. So I'll put down a little bit of that yellow. And now I'm going to clean the brush one more time. It's very important if you don't really want to get like muddy colors, and this is just my opinion, muddy colors, you just need to clean between those. Now I'm going to go in with that blue. Now again, I already have some of that yellow down. So when I put down that blue, what color am I going to get? I'm going to get that green. So again, I don't have to use all of the inks. I can actually blend my own colors. And I'm going to show you that a little bit later in the video as well. So just go ahead and add that in, and right between that yellow, I'm going to get that really pretty stripe of green, like a really nice tealy green. Again, I'm going to clean off my brush one more time, and now I'm going to come in with my purple color. Again, I'm just going to leave some of that color, just a tad bit on there, and I'm going to blend this up, and then those two shades are going to blend to give me another color of purple, which is going to be just a tad bit lighter. Now you can already see from the stencil that this is going to be absolutely gorgeous, but the best part for me is reveal. I love reveal time. I just think it's so pretty when you're working with stencils. And look how gorgeous. The stencil and this ink is magical together. And you can really see that bright color I get. Now I'm going to go ahead and set this aside so I can go ahead and start working on the rest of the card. All right, so for my image, I am using the Magical Unicorn, and this is from InkOn3, and I went ahead and stamped this in Blackout ink, and I heat embossed it in clear embossing powder. So instead of making or using that green color, I'm going to make my own color. Remember, I told you that you can make your custom colors with these inks as well. So I have 2 things of water. One's already dirty because I've been playing in it all day. And I'm going to use my glass mat again for this. I'm just going to take some of that red ink, smush it down onto my glass mat, and I'm going to watercolor with this. So I'm going to clean off my brush first, and then I'm going to go ahead and put down just a light wash of water over this flower. Now I'm not going to show you the entire coloring of this because it did take me just a little bit, but it will make a very long video or even longer video. So as you can see, I'm just dotting in the color, and I'm using the strongest strength of that color toward the bottom of that petal. All right, because I want my top part to be a little bit lighter. So I'm just going to use my brush and kind of pull that color up to the tip of my flower, which is going to keep the tip of my flower softer than the middle of my flower. Does that make sense? So I'm going to rinse out my brush again, and I have a towel off to the side, and I'm going to start my next one. I never start both of them next to each other because I don't want them to bleed. I'll grab a little bit more of that ink, place it down towards the deep part of that flower. Again, I will clean off my brush, and then I would just come in with water and drag that color out. Now, if you find out that your brush is like really, really wet, you can take your brush and like run it across the image to get off some of the water. And these are the Princeton Snap brushes. So these hold a lot of water in them. If this happens, don't panic. Don't panic. Just dab up some of the water. It's okay. I'm going to go right back in, and I'm going to put a little bit more of that red and let it bloom out towards the bottom of that first petal that I did. So you can totally see the contrast I'm getting now. I'm getting that darker bold color and the lighter color at the top. Again, I'm going to rinse my brush, dab it off, and again, just pull that color up, just fading out that line ever so lightly, just to keep the top part of that petal soft. Again, one more time, I'm adding the stronger color to the inner part of that flower. I'm cleaning off my brush, coming in with just some water. And again, if it's too much, if your brush is too wet, just take some of the water off with a rag. And if you have way too much water, you can also dab it up with the rag. Just make sure you're picking a corner that's dried and it doesn't have any ink on it. All right, so now I'm going to do the rest of that. I like to go from corner to corner on each of the flowers and not do any of the ones that are really close because I really don't want them to bleed. So I go from corner to corner when I use any kind of watercoloring, just in case I don't want that bleed. So I'll go ahead and finish off this flower, but I'm going to do this offline. And now I'm going to come back in and clean up that red. And that's what's so great about using this glass mat. I can clean off the color. Now, instead of using that green, which I could use for my greenery, I'm going to come back in with that yellow. And I'm going to come back in with the blue and make my own custom color. So I'm going to tap that down on my glass mat. I'm going to come right back in with that gorgeous blue color. And I'm going to make my own green. And that's what's so great about having the full line of inks, because you can make your own color. So I wanted this green to be a little bit more of a bluey green instead of the bright green of the original color. Again, I just want to test this color, see if I like it. I love it. A really, really nice green. Mixing that together, leaving just the green in the center part. So I didn't mix all of it together. If I want to add a darker shade later, I'll still be able to pull in some more of that blue. Now I cleaned off my brush. And again, I'm going to go away from what is wet. Again, put down a little bit of water. And then adding that deep saturated color at the bottom of that leaf. Again, I want that to go soft up to the top. So I'll clean off my brush and just pull the color in. Again, this is simple watercoloring, you guys, nothing difficult at all. This is very calming to me. I really love watercoloring because it is a calming way for me to work with a media. All right, so now since I shared all that with you, I don't want you to be nervous when you're using any of these inks. Like I said, they blend beautifully together. You can get really bold colors. If you want it to be softer, all you have to do is add more water to it. Don't be intimidated by these inks. Don't be intimidated really with anything that you craft with. I swear there's no one that's going to take you to jail. Nobody from Heffy Doodle, nobody from InkOn3, nobody's coming to get you. Just relax, relax and have a good time with your coloring. Don't let it be too hard for you. Don't overthink it. All right, I'm gonna make sure to have the rest of this color. Like I said, I could have did it, but it was gonna take up a lot of time in this video. Again, if you wanna use the green, you already have it in your collection. All right, now since the image is all color, you can see how beautiful these inks are. Now I wanna show you how I do a gradient on the mane of the horse. This is super, super easy to do. So I'm going to take my blue ink, I'm going to smush it on my glass mat, and then I'm going to come in with that purple. Again, you want colors that are not going to turn into mud. Just be mindful of that. I will grab my paintbrush. I'm going to first get it nice and wet, and I'm just going to bring water to the mane of this little unicorn. So again, I'm just going right where I know I want some of that ink to be, and I'm just coming in with a clean wash of water. Now I will grab that blue, and then look what happens. It just starts to bleed because the water's already there. The waters are working to my advantage right now. So we're just gonna pull that color down almost to the middle of the mane. And these colors really bloom well. Blooming means like they explode, and I really love these about these inks. So again, I'm just adding paint or ink to that water, and then pulling that purple up. Now I'm going to start working it into that blue. I'm going to start pulling that blue down a little bit. I'm going to be working that purple up. I'm going to bring my darkest color again to the top of the mane. I'm going to pull it down. Remember, my paper is still wet. It's still wet, so I'm able to blend. So that's another tip. Just make sure your paper is wet where your color is still moving. You don't want it to be dry because then you'll get like harsh lines. Again, darker color at the bottom of the mane. And then I can go ahead and pull in those two colors. And I get a gorgeous gradient out of that. Look how gorgeous that is. Super easy. You see, I'm not overthinking it. I'm just dropping in the color, making sure those two colors play nice and happy together in the middle. And that's as easy as it gets to do your gradient color. Again, biggest tip, pick colors that blend together. Otherwise, like I said, you're going to get a mud, and then your unicorn is going to have brown hair. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let that section dry. And I'm going to show you one more time how to do this again. I'm just going to deepen up that middle just a little bit so I get a different color purple. Very easy, swiping those colors just so they blend. Again, making sure my paper stays wet. That's all. That's the biggest tip I can tell you, is to make sure your paper stays wet. And look, we have a gorgeous gradient between those two colors. Now I am going to pick up the speed just on this next portion because you've seen me already do this. So I'm just going to grab some red, and I'm going to add the color or the water, start dropping in that color, and then I'm going to head on over back to that blue. And that blue and that red is going to make a nice shade of purple for me. So again, adding the color, making sure they overlap. I get that gorgeous purple. And that's all there is to it, you guys. Really, just make sure your paper stays wet, and the colors that you choose, you need to just make sure that they don't turn into mud. Alrighty, now let's finish up this card. I mean, look how gorgeous that hair is on that unicorn. Yep. I do want my unicorn to have a little bit of shading. So I am going to grab the black color of this ink, and I'm just going to take my paintbrush. I'm going to get it wet, and I'm just going to pull some of that color off because I want like a light gray. And I'm just going to add it to my little dish here. And this is just like a little dish I picked up. I believe I picked this up from Blick. And as you can see, it's stained with color. I'm going to rinse my brush, add in a little bit more water because I want this to be a loose consistency. I don't want this to be really dark, harsh lines. I just want to add a little bit of shading to my little unicorn. Grab a little bit more until I get to the color I think I want. Now, again, before I go to the image, I am going to test this color on my scratch paper. I don't want to immediately go in and be like, ah, that's too dark. So that's about the shade I want for now. If I need to deepen that up, I can, but I do not want to take a color directly to the image that I'm going to think it's not going to work. So again, I'm using just water, coming in right underneath that color. Now the mane is already dried, so I didn't have to worry about any of that bleeding. And again, I heat embossed this, so I kind of cheated. So all the colors kind of stays nicely in its well. And I'm just adding in a little bit of that gray, just so you know that, the mane coming over the unicorn's face would definitely cause it to have a shadow. I'm going to add a tad bit more of that black just to deepen it up a little bit. Again, I'm going to make sure to test this. That is a little bit of a shade darker, which is perfect. And now I can go in and darken that up just a bit. Now, again, because I already have the water on there, you see I'm getting a really nice bleed on this. And then I can just drag my brush and pull that color. Again, don't let watercoloring stress you out. Practice makes perfect. I'm telling you, in any kind of medium that you're working with, practice makes perfect. Do not let your craft stress you out. It should be a happy time, not something that you're stressing over. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish up adding the shading to this horse. And look how cute. And I'll just go right back around the ears. Now this is done. I'm going to let it dry for just a little bit. I'm going to clean off my work surface, and I'm going to come in with the liquid pixie dust from InkOn3. This is the prettiest shimmer that you're ever going to get on a card. So I went ahead and shook it up, and then I just take my little dauber, and I'm just going to add a little bit to the glass mat. Now this liquid pixie dust is gorgeous. I'm going to grab it with the same paintbrush, you guys, and I'm going right in on the top of that unicorn. I don't know what this part of that unicorn is called. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's been a long day and I didn't have enough coffee. But I'm putting that there. It's like the horn. I guess it's just a horn, a unicorn horn. There you go. So I'm going to tilt that, and you really can't see it, but I want that to be more golden color. So I'm going to come in with my yellow ink. Again, I'm just going to grab some of that color right off the pad, just pushing my brush into it, and then I can mix it in with that pixie dust, y'all. Look how gorgeous. And now I'm going to get a shimmer yellow. And that's going to give me more of a golden horn per se. And I can just mix it. So remember, you can mix that pixie spray in with your watercoloring as well to get a little bit of shimmer instead of just using water. I'm going to put another little drop or two on there because now I want to add some more sparkle to this unicorn. So I'm just going to go through, I'm going to add one more coat to that little horn. And it's okay, I have more, but the yellow is a little bit lighter now. But at this point, I'm aiming for the sparkle, not so much the color. Once I have that done, I can go in and start coloring up some other things. I'm not going to change out that pixie spray. I mean that pixie dust, even though it has yellow in it. I'm not worried about that. I'm now just going to do light little strokes just with the liquid pixie dust. I love this stuff. It's so pretty. And I'm just doing it like fine hair. Just brushing it on like if I had like a little hair in the way. And I just want that little hair to sparkle. That's how easy it is to apply. Then you can go over it multiple times and you'll get a darker, more intense shimmer. I'm just doing a very light coat of this. Now I'm just going to bring it into the center of my flower. Again, just adding a little bit of sparkle to my card. All right, I'm just going to finish up touching up some spots with that pixie dust. Look what Pixie, and look at that. Look at the sparkle, you guys. It's so freaking pretty. And it's going to match that background perfectly. So I went ahead and I matted that kaleidoscope, that crazy kaleidoscope. And look how gorgeous my unicorn looks with it, because all of my ink color was consistent. And I have this little hay, which is from Heffy Doodle. I already die cut it out in black so it matches the frame around my little unicorn. And now all I need to do is go ahead and pop this up. Now you can head on over to the Heffy Doodle or the InkOn3 blog and you'll see everybody that is participating. Once again, we really appreciate you guys leaving your comments and your likes and actually sharing what we do, because you know this is a craft that I think everybody can really get into in one form or another. So for my unicorn, I just want to pop this up on this panel, give it a little bit of height, because you know it's like kind of the star of the show on my card with that beautiful crazy kaleidoscope stencil in the background. Again, it works seamlessly together because I used the same inks. I didn't have to worry about picking different colors to make sure that my unicorn matched. Now I did bend the unicorn just a little bit. It was a little wet still, so I just wanted to like firm it up just a tad bit. And now I'm going to place the hay down and just make sure that my unicorn kind of lines up and I still have enough room to put that little hay in there. Now I'm a font snob and I have to say I love the font of this Hey Die from Heffy Doodle. I just like pretty fonts. I have to just tell you and be honest. I am going to just glue this down to this panel. I'm not going to add any more dimension to this. This has actually been die cut 3 times and I stacked them all together already. So that's enough height for me. I'm going to come in with my Ultra Bond glue, and this is from Thermoweb. If you guys have watched my videos, you would know that I love this stuff. And if you also want to see another video done with the InkOn3 inks, I'll make sure to list it above and list it below so you can see how I started watercoloring with these in the beginning when I first got them. All right, I'm just going to tuck that little hay right up under its cute little nose. And then I can go ahead and press that into place. Now, I don't want to go overboard on this, but you guys know me. If you watch this channel, I do like to add a little bit of sparkle here and there. So I'm just going to grab some iridescent gems, and these are the Lucy gems. And I'm just going to place a few of these on this card. Again, I don't want it to be too much, but I do want to add a little bit of that sparkle to the background. Now, if it was smart, I probably could have used some shimmer spray before I lifted up the stencil, but I really wasn't thinking. So just adding a few gems here or there is going to give me just that little bit of sparkle I want on the background of this piece here. All right, I'll add my last one. And look how gorgeous this panel looks already. I mean, it absolutely looks stunning. And just that little bit of those gems with that liquid pixie dust gives me just the right amount of sparkle. All right, now I went ahead and I adhered this to the back of a white card base, and our card is done for today. All right, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I totally appreciate it. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed to me, so you can see all the good stuff I'm working with. You guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy the hop, and I will see you guys back here soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.